Phase Hero on this fine Monday, August 24th, coming to you live. If you're on YouTube, you're one of the more than 1,000 subscribers on the brand new YouTube channel. Hello, BD here, joined today by Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody.
We've got Aaron Perrine.
What's going on, BD?
Oh, another day, another hero. We've got a good chunky bit of news to talk about today. We've got some Lanterns episode 2 to talk about today. And can we all just agree Lanterns is fantastic right out of the gate? Can we just establish that? Can we?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
If you object, speak now or forever never speak on this show. That would be great. We got some Marvel news. We're going to talk about some DC news, of course. And then at the end, we will talk Lanterns episode 2 with some spoilers. So be warned, the spoilers will come at the end. If you haven't watched Lanterns, if you can't handle TVMA or you just, for whatever reason, you couldn't get to it on Sunday night or Monday morning, you're warned. We will give you a clear warning. Avengers Endgame Encore tickets are on sale now. Did anybody buy them? Anybody here buy tickets?
I did not.
Neither.
They've listed the showings. There's like a bunch of weird reports. I don't know why. Some people were like, it's tomorrow and it's today. But if the listings exist, some people got through them gates.
So wait. Is there an official tickets are on sale thing?
I think when I made the rundown, they were like believed to be on sale by this point, but I honestly have not even checked. Either way, they are imminently on sale. Probably by the time people are listening to this in audio form, they will most likely be.
Yeah, I've got showings here. I'm seeing the Grove, 7 p.m. AMC theaters. Watch this. Let's see. I've gone off script. Oh, I can't buy tickets yet.
Okay.
So the screenings are there.
There we go.
It's bibbity bobbity. You know, it is what it is. They'll be on sale very soon.
Are we going to go is the question.
I am going to go. I'm actually trying to put a screening together at IMAX. I've mentioned this on my show. I sent them a full pitch. I'm optimistic that that's going to work out. But yeah, I mean, I'm there for the whole experience of rewatching it and the extra 4 minutes.
I am of the mindset of inevitably the 4 minutes will leak online. Like that is kind of a non-starter. Like the second that screenings of this start, it will not be difficult to find that footage online. I'm curious like what the footage is and like how significant it is. And if that is something that really justifies me paying the $20 to see a movie that I already own on Blu-ray at home. And so I think that's going to kind of determine to me whether or not I end up going to see it.
I just want to go bask in the crowd. Like it's going to be fun. Like I can't imagine. Although you do run the risk of like for the first 2/3 of the movie, us just all sitting there waiting for the thing to happen, and then it just turns into your soccer team winning a big game with throwing the popcorn, and everybody doing chicken jockey. But it'll still be fun. I'm excited.
I'm excited for the energy in the theater. I will be. I plan to see this probably. I think I will be there, and I think maybe this is Avengers Endgame's way of now taking the throne back from Spider-Man Brand New Day, which recently dethroned it as the biggest movie domestically in the United States ever at the box office. I would like to see us in theaters. Why not? It'd be a fun time. I would like to feel like it's 2019 again. I think we all would. Times were they were timing a bit harder back in 2019. Maybe a little bit gentler, actually. The Doomsday Watchlist came out. This is interesting. This is an interesting list. Somebody pull up this list real quick because I'm going to see off the top of my head if I can recite the movies that they put on this list.
Aaron, are you pulling it up or?
I am pulling it up.
All right, making
I'm
sure
going
before
to Jamie Jirac's post that you should go see on the Phase Hero Instagram.
We did talk about this a little bit last week. In the meantime, while you're pulling it up, that the Marvels is not on that list, which is kind of a bummer, given everything.
There's so many things. I laugh because this is just a racket because people are like, how are you going to watch freaking Captain America Brave New World and not watch Falcon Winter Soldier? That doesn't make any sense. But okay.
You very much watch
ready?
one or the other.
Huh?
I think you could very much watch one or the other of those and have a similar outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you could watch Falcon and Winter Soldier and the post-credit scene of Brave New World, and probably that would do enough work for you. Because I feel like they're saying Brave New World because of the post-credit scene and how they're kind of teeing up the incursions and stuff there.
Yeah.
So
the list.
Brett, all right, go.
Let's see if I can do this.
Yes,
I know it's X-Men is the first one.
Correct.
And then 2.
Yep.
And I think it jumps to the Avengers.
Nope. There's one more in the middle.
There's one more in the middle. Hold on a second. I don't think it's any. Oh, Captain America: The First Avenger.
Boom. Yes.
Then it jumps to the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the Avengers, it's another pretty big jump because it doesn't have any of the solo movies there. It doesn't have Age of Ultron in there. It might.
Civil War?
No, it doesn't have Civil War on there. It
Huh.
goes. Infinity War and Endgame are back to back. Those are the next times you check in with Steve and Tony and all them. So I don't remember if I think there's a movie between Avengers and Infinity War that is not an MCU movie, but I don't remember what. Am I wrong on that?
There is no movie in between the two. It is
So
literally
it's
just
Avengers, straight to Infinity War, straight to Endgame.
Okay.
Then it goes to Loki, I believe.
correct.
Then after Loki, it goes. I know Captain America: Brave New World, Deadpool, Wolverine. I know those are on there. I know, I think that's about as far as I'll get. And then I know Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness is on there.
Correct.
Yeah, that's another one.
One of your favorites is here, B. That's after Loki.
Thunderbolts is on there.
Yes, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Spider-Man: No Way Home is on there.
It is not what I'm talking about.
After Loki, it's not what happened at Black Widow.
Shang-Chi.
Oh, Shang-Chi,
Boom.
Legend of the Ten Rings is on there. Good
That's
call.
correct.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so that's here. I've gassed at everybody's flabbers enough here. Go ahead and read the whole list. Let's see the whole thing in order.
All right, we got X-Men, X2, Captain America: The First Avenger, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Loki, Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Captain America: Brave New World, Deadpool and Wolverine, Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, Thunderbolts, The Fantastic Four: First Steps.
The two consistent things I noticed that I can put on each or split at least one to all of these movies is that it either establishes who is the current title holder of a character mantle, or it introduces incursions or multiverse stuff to you in some way or another. And the fact that WandaVision isn't on there makes me go, yep, nope, Wanda Maximoff ain't in this thing. Maybe she's one of the Latvian witches, but the Marvel's not being on there. Tiana Paris isn't in this thing, which is weird. We all saw that credit scene, but
It just feels weird not to have the Marvels on there when Beast is literally in the movie. Like, you would think you'd want people to have that in the back of their minds in the rewatch. And like, as the chat is pointing out, no Days of Future Past is also really interesting to me. Like, I know we're going to kind of fudge the connection between the end of that movie and the X-Men we're seeing in this movie, but I would think you'd want like some idea after X1 and X2, kind of like where they were more recently.
yeah, I would think that too. However, I think that the villains from Spider-Man 1 and 2, many of whom died and were in Spider-Man No Way Home, I think the multiverse rules are just going to be, just before they died or the timeline changed.
Yeah.
When this happened, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And that's fine, whatever. I just want to see these characters together. I do think Marvel's Cap, Winter Soldier, there's a few movies that I'm like, if you really want to give somebody the full experience, and how do you watch Infinity War without watching Civil War first?
Yeah.
But this is to serve Doomsday, not Infinity War. So it is what it is. You'd be so confused, though, if you watch the Avengers and then all of a sudden Tony and Cap are just beefing. It broke up like a band, like the Beatles. But, yeah. I'll tell you what they didn't. Go ahead.
I've had so many conversations with people who were not like plugged into this about the watch order thing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them, like, I'm amazed at how much weird telephone is in like the discussion of this. Like, nobody really thinks like that list you just like put out there. If you're any kind of Marvel fan that fashions yourself a Marvel fan, you've seen most of those movies. The only things you probably haven't seen, if you're like a very like, I just go to the big movies things, is like Shang-Chi and like Loki and Multiverse of Madness, maybe. Like, a lot of that stuff you've probably already seen. I'm like, it's not that much extra than what you already have. Because I think that what that list shows me is that freaking Endgame is the only thing you probably need to roll into this movie. Like, if you know what the X-Men are, you're not going to need to do any real heavy lifting of stuff. It'll help, but you're not going to need it, I don't think.
I also look at that and go, how many of those movies have less than a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes? And I think it's really only Cap 4, Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else on there is kind of a greatest hits list as well.
It is also funny, like the comic bookiness of this watch list and like what isn't on here. Cause like, as the chat is pointing out, and as I was going to argue, regardless of like, if you don't watch Love and Thunder, which is understandable if you don't watch that going into this, you then are like, how does Thor have a daughter? What the hell is the story with all of that? Which is very similar to like, oh, I'm not reading this character's solo book. And then they showed up in a team event and this thing is going on. Like, I like that we're emulating that here almost by accident because they don't want to drive people to go watch Love and Thunder.
I was mistaken. C Black says Fan 4 is 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Is that true? I didn't think it was that high. Multiverse of Madness isn't super high either, though. I don't think. But anyway, one thing not on that watch list, and apparently not on enough people's watch lists, is Wonderman. Wonderman star Yahya Abdul-Mateen II spoke to Vanity Fair about the show, which was renewed for season 2 after a fantastically well-received season 1. And he said that I was told it had something to do with the viewership numbers. I wasn't told what those numbers were, but ultimately, for whatever reason it was, I think that they decided that it didn't make sense for business, and that's a decision that we live with, and we keep on marching forward. And then he said also, in regards to the fact that a lot of things starring people of color have been canceled, he said, I think the optics are obvious. If I'm a big business, if I'm Disney, if I'm Marvel, I don't want to be attached to these optics. So it should be a priority to change that narrative and to do what it takes to responsibly change that narrative with quality stories, with quality resources. I felt that our show did have a quality story, did have quality resources, did have quality actors and people, and did produce quality results that the viewers responded to positively, that the voters responded to positively. So our show does deserve some study and some real hard information about why a show like this did not continue forward, because it had all the ingredients that one would want in a show. If I was Yahya, I mean, he put this even more gently than I would have if I was him. I think Yahya got screwed on this one. I think a lot of people got screwed on this one. They were ready to roll on season 2, and then the plug got pulled. It would have hurt less if they never renewed it. At the end of the day, I know this is a business, but at some point, think about the business of your brand as well. When you greenlit this and then canceled it, I don't know. That sucks. And I know this wasn't Brad or Kevin. I know this was a Disney call. I'm a huge fan of Yahya, and I feel like he just keeps getting dealt shitty hands. And I also think this hurts Emmy votes, too. This hurts his chance at winning an Emmy. And I don't know what the competition is. I don't really care much about awards, but I would like to see a Marvel actor win an award like that. I think it'd be sick. But I think this puts a bad taste in people's mouths as they go into Emmy voting, too.
I know like Widow's Bay is kind of the next biggest, like in the category that he's in. Like it seems like Matthew Rhys on that show probably is the front runner. But in this conversation, I think like what has happened with the show and everything that's gone down definitely does cloud it. And like you could tell this interview, like it's a really interesting, really thorough interview in general that's about like his acting process and like what he is reading for fun and how he like read War and Peace, I think, at the gym over the course of like a long stretch of time. And like it's just a really nice like profile of him as an actor that you could tell was in part because of Emmy voting, but then it also has to ask these questions in the process. And I just feel bad for everyone involved. Like it sucks that a show can't really find its footing. It's like you get this first season, you got to kind of like establish your status quo, and you immediately get the legs cut out from underneath you. I feel like if this was 10 or 15 years ago, this show would be on its 3rd season by now, or at least we would know that it's that far along.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, though, I think a few years ago that it would have had higher viewership.
Yeah.
Like, I think that numbers are down everywhere for the most part. And you have the occasional Spider-Man that everybody goes, wait a second, everybody loves superheroes still. No, hold on. Yes, people do like superheroes and very good movies. But above all, people love Spider-Man. Wonderman and Spider-Man are completely different levels of people knowing who they are. A Spider-Man TV show on Disney Plus, if you make it for the budget of Wonderman, obviously going to get a season 2. I just think it's such a shame because this is probably the best, maybe for me, besides Loki season 2. I do think it's maybe I shouldn't speak too hyperbolically, but it's at least top 3 Marvel shows on Disney Plus, and it's a shame it's not getting a season 2. And I know Aaron has thoughts, so I'm just gonna pass the mic.
It's like a confluence. It's like a compilation of things. I don't know, like, because for me, I'm like, I love that he said like the optics of it look bad, right? Because we've all covered TV for now almost for a decade. Everybody in this chat, you know, and it's not the first show I've ever seen get greenlit for a season 2 and then get the plug pulled afterwards, after a clear and present like, yo, this is getting more, and then no, it's not. Because I remember like Minx and Warrior and Warrior Nun. I don't know why there's so many warriors that this crap happens to. Go ahead.
I will say though, with like those, because I remember like almost every show that's happened to has been like a Netflix show, and it's always been this thing of like, okay, well they're not making another season of that, but they have like 80 other originals that they're putting out in a calendar year. Like Disney Plus has already scaled back on shows. Like we don't know if there's any live action Star Wars shows beyond Ahsoka season 2. Like we don't know any Marvel stuff outside of Daredevil. So it's like interesting to have this happen in the context of a streaming service that already has like so little original programming to begin with. But like that being said, go on.
I feel like you could make 10 Outer Banks with the budget they use for Wonderman. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Somewhere Liam's going to kick me in the teeth for saying it, right? I think you could make 12 Outer Banks for the one season of Percy Jackson. You know what I mean? But so that stuff might get adjusted. But the thing that's really struck me and the thing that has been the core part of all of this entire time, and it's this weird Ouroboros that happens in our community in front of everybody, and we end up being the lab rats for all of it, is like, people say, well, we just need to show up. And I've been out here like, you need to show up and actually support the thing. I've seen more people, just random people outside of like the Marvel, talk about Wonder Man since the moment it got canceled than when it was probably going on week to week that were not like Marvel diehards. And that's probably part of the problem too. I could imagine it's before I would have been like, okay, show me the numbers. I want to see the data myself. Like, right. But just from the responses, and Jenna, you just went through this. Like, look at how many people are like, oh man, Supergirl's really good. Yo, Supergirl's really dope. Now that I can watch it at home from like the comfort of my couch. Freaking Masters of the Universe is the number one streamed movie for the last 2 months on freaking Prime Video after everybody was like, didn't go see it in the theater. Yeah. So I think that a lot of this is like a weird, like scattering of the media environment. And then also the optics are awful. And I think Brandon is right too, because companies do this. They're kind of short-sighted in their own kind of way. They don't think about the optics of how certain things look. As it can be a database decision. You can be like, I didn't mean it like that, but like it looks crazy from the outside, and you need to do something about that to protect your own brand. And I mean, if he walks up there and gets the Emmy now, you can't even really enjoy it the same way because there ain't nothing else coming afterwards. Could you imagine if the season 2 was already in production? He walks up there, he actually wins, he beats Matthew Rice in like the movie that show everybody won't shut up about, and then it's like, yeah, and they got season 2, and like they cracked Prestige TV. Brad Winderbaum's in the shower like Kobe Bryant crying with the trophy because he freaking did it, man, you know? But now it's not gonna be that. So it's unfortunate, and I don't know where it goes. I don't know what gets greenlit. I don't think Marvel TV's done. I've seen a lot of people say that. I don't think that's the case.
I'll tell you right now, I know with certainty Marvel TV is not done.
I think if anything, it's evolving, but I don't think it's done.
It's definitely changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will also say, like, piggybacking off of what you're saying, Aaron, I feel like the release date was a huge factor in all of this, and the fact that it was released as a binge and not a weekly show. Like, because it was a binge, like it was all episodes at the same time, and I know that helps in the immediate with viewership numbers because everyone is watching it right away. But I do feel like if this show had been weekly, or if it had been like a multi-episode premiere and then you go weekly from there, the conversation would have grown and it would have organically had such an audience. Like we have later in the rundown ratings for TV that is weekly, and it is kind of a different story. So I feel like that's also the bummer of all of it, of like if this show had gotten a different release strategy, the conversation might be different.
When I worked in the content mines over at TV Line, and every week I was writing about like old TV shows, there is just a graveyard littered with brilliant, wonderful television that was from the old era of TV that was week to week that just never found an audience, and then everybody finds it on streaming and goes, what's up? Like if you scratch an old TV writer like older than us, they'll just start talking about freaking Freaks and Geeks, right? They'll talk about My So-Called Life or something like that never got a chance to have a season 2. And I'm completely dating myself because they think these shows were in reruns when I watched them on freaking Noggin or whatever, to also date myself again for the dramatic effect of it. It would help, but I'm like, you got to find some way to reach people however you can. And everything can't have Spider-Man in it. So people got to support things that don't involve Tom Holland as they did. They need to rest. I don't know what they got next year.
I actually have no idea either. Well, I think we all feel pretty strongly about Wonderman.
Yeah.
Great points made by Aaron. Thank you. And there's Magneto rumors swirling. Do we want to spend time fan casting Magneto? I think I've personally had enough fan casting in my life, but if we want to do it, we can. But I will.
It felt worth mentioning because there were some tweets going around that were passing stuff off as actual news and passing off certain shortlists, and there was no source on those whatsoever. But it has been funny kind of seeing the internet either fan cast or like responding fan casts in a very strong sort of way. But yeah, Aaron, do you have any thoughts on the matter?
I think I heard slight murmurs of this, but then it would seem like it was a beep bop boop bop situation. So I just like tuned it out because I'm like, until we know what's going on, I have no idea. You know what I mean? Like we already got pump faked about Magneto once this month. Brandon was down there. It was like, what's happening?
I'll play Magneto.
I just chemistry test with Christopher Abbott. Like put him in a room with every single actor that you're considering, and if they don't have chemistry, like it's a non-starter here. Like we need the two of them to have a chemistry that could feed a generation of audience members. Like that is the goal here.
That's it. I'm not familiar with Christopher Abbott. I got to watch a few of these young whippersnappers in this cast that I have not seen before. Shaq wanted to be in the Avengers, and Marvel was like, no, bro. That you literally people just be like, "There's Shaq." And I thought that was kind of funny. So Shaq confirmed not in the MCU, and he will not be playing Magneto. So that was a funny moment. I saw that going around. All right, do we want to switch over to the DC side?
Sure.
Yeah.
I want some thoughts on this one. I have a take that I think I'm going to play devil's advocate to Jenna for this section here.
Okay.
People vs. Gorilla Grodd has officially been greenlit. It's going to be an 8-episode series on HBO Max. It is a true crime mockumentary. It is showrun by Dan Peralt and Tony Yacenda of American Vandal. I think that was one of the reports that came out a while ago, but now it is official. Gorilla Grodd has long claimed his innocence in the murder and brain consumption of his father, King Grodd, a crime he was convicted of in March 2021. I'm also picturing like the Sitting Mercury Netflix documentary for this, and has remained incarcerated ever since. The series will take an in-depth look at the investigation, featuring brand new reporting from members of the Daily Planet staff, as well as interviews with witnesses and experts on both Grodd's and Metropolis District Attorney sides of the case, including Gorilla Grodd's new counsel at the Metropolis Freedom Project. It's going to star Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen. Beck Bennett is back with Steve Lombardi, Michaela Hoover as Cat Grant, Wendell Pierce as Perry White, introducing Jimmy Tatro as Gorilla Grodd, Mary Holland as Sandra, might actually be Lucy Lane. Excuse me, hold on a second. Peralt, Eduardo Franco, Andrew Leeds, Arian Moayed, who was Agent Cleary in Wonderman and Spider-Man No Way Home, and Tim Baltz are also in the cast, but their roles are all unknown. And James Gunn revealed the announcement. It is one of the first shows he and Peter ever pitched for the DC Universe alongside Lanterns, and it got greenlit at a time where people are like, oh my God, the DCU is burning. Everything's falling apart. Cancel it. It's done. Throw in the towel. They're cooked. And guess what? They're not cooked at all. In fact, they're cooking. So I think this is an exciting development in the fact that they're still getting to do this project they wanted to do. And on the other hand, the devil's advocate, I will say, it's kind of crazy. This is the next move. I will admit it. I got no problem with it. I'm there day one. I got to say, we're talking about Wonderman getting canceled and all this stuff not working out on the Marvel side. It is kind of crazy. This is a ballsy next move for the DC Universe when you have characters that would be more surefire hits, which Lanterns just proved, because it is the 5th highest HBO Max premiere of all time, and it is the highest DC TV premiere ever because people know Green Lantern, I think. And it's a great show. I think people know Green Lantern. Batman and Wonder Woman, still no mention of them in the development process of the DC Universe. I don't care that much. I'm just playing devil's advocate, and I will say, though, while I'm there day one, I do think this is a ballsy next move.
I think with the Batman and Wonder Woman of it all, I get devil's advocating, but you are literally what Twitter just sounds like every single hour of the day. Because they're like, where are those two characters?
Twitter sucks. There's a few people there that I'll say, look, you're saying this in good faith. Like, Twitter, fuck them. But I do think, I can understand Supergirl didn't do well, whatever. It's one movie. Okay. It's not the end of the world. I just think this is a ballsy move.
I think people are also forgetting the Batman Part 2 is actively filming right now. I almost put it in the rundown, but you can see dozens of set videos of the Batmobile filming stuff outside right now. Like Matt Reeves is cooking on the Batman front. And I'm fine letting him cook before we get to Brave and the Bold. I've said that like 100 times on this show, and I will continue to say that. And then with Wonder Woman, it's actively being worked on. I think like no news is good news kind of in the regard of that. But I also think that with the characters who are
for love, but beg to differ.
With the characters,
I'm just devil's advocate.
I know. With the characters who are not yet household names, it is much easier to find a hook and be able to take the risk and get a project up off the ground a little bit faster. Whereas like everyone has their preconceived notions about Wonder Woman. There are so many directions that you could take a Wonder Woman or a Batman movie. And so like creatively that takes a little bit longer to kind of iron out. Whereas like I can see the vision so clearly for what this show is. And I think it's also really interesting that this was pitched so early on. I know people were like, why are we getting a Jimmy show? Why is it a Grodd show? But I think if anything, the fact that it's like the people versus, this could be an anthology. It could be a thing where the plan is to have this be like a season every year or every couple of years with a different character at the center of it. And we could like expand out the universe and do sort of different stuff that contends with the larger universe that way. What are you going to say, Brandon?
I think there's a potentially extremely interesting version of this show that they completely misled us on, where it is actually, in reality, maybe a mockumentary. Like I think the mockumentary thing is very interesting format. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But it is actually, this is after Man of Tomorrow, mind you.
It is.
Which is not the culmination of all this, which for all we know is not going to end the Salvation storyline. Kick it into high gear because most people probably don't even know what Salvation is because more people watch Superman than watch Peacemaker. And I love Peacemaker. That's not a slight, it's a fact. What if Man of Tomorrow ends with Superman and a lot of the heroes going fucking missing in Salvation, and this show is actually the Daily Planet reporters trying to uncover where the missing heroes are because they're trying to find Salvation?
I mean, if it was that, I feel like that would be the synopsis would not be as like overt as it is. Also, y'all were laughing at the brain consumption. That is canon to the comics. He did eat his dad's brains in the New 52 run. What? And I'm very excited to see how that is framed as a murder and not a thing that he willingly did. Like that'll be fun to see. I do think
eat brains. Sometimes you got to eat them. Sometimes you got to look. Okay.
And robots.
Look. You can't get mad at a gorilla for that every once in a while.
I think the Salvation storyline is going to factor into the show regardless. I feel like Grodd, the first time we saw Grodd in this universe was in the flash forward for Creature Commandos that didn't end up actually happening. And so I feel like you have the combination of that and almost like a Minority Report situation of like, can we try Grodd for a crime that he didn't actually commit because the princess died before that universe actually happened, combined with the fact of like, well, he's already in jail for murdering his dad. Did he actually murder his dad to begin with? And I feel like if the ticking time bomb of the show is like, well, Grodd's about to be sent to Salvation and Jimmy's investigating that before he gets sent to Salvation, I feel like that could be a really interesting kind of through line with all of this. So I'm excited. I want to hear what Aaron has to say before I just keep yapping. I also have a 10-minute video about this announcement on my channel. So
you should go watch that 10-minute video. It's where I learned that this happened actually, because someone just posted something in my like stories. I was like, wait, what? And then Jenna already had the video. Like I was like, how did this happen? I just learned what happened. It is rather interesting. I think Brandon does have a point though, Jen. Like it is interesting that this is the thing. Because if you were going to do like a lesser known character, there's one named Mr. Terrific that everybody couldn't shut up about for a week and a half. I have never had so many people ask me about one of these characters that was like a side character, one of these things in like 5 years. It was nuts. It was like Agatha Harkness level. I need to read all the appearances and know what the deal is. But also, Skylar was really good as Jimmy Olsen, and the show sounds really fully formed. It's almost impossible for you to make a bad mockumentary-style sitcom show at this point in entertainment. So that's all super interesting. But yeah, like the key is it has to be good. Like that's like, I guess where we're at. Because like we did do this. Like we just run on the same wheel. We debate $200 dates and who picks up the check and why are these third tier comics characters getting stuff before my faves are getting their stuff, right? We do it on both sides. It's really, really strange. But if they have faith, and if it's any way, shape, or form what Brandon's talking about, like the end of Minute Tomorrow is Superman, all them locked away in space Guantanamo, and we can't find it, and then Jimmy's the one that figures it out, would be crazy.
Hold on,
so
I'm giving Jimmy credit for shit, by the way. It's Eve Tessmacher and Lois Lane who are the ones actually. I'm still of the camp. Jimmy Olsen is a villainous human being,
which is extremely comic accurate for him. Jimmy is a mess of a character, and that is why I love him so much. Again, like the universe of it all notwithstanding, like I said, like no news is good news on all of the big pillars that people want to see, but I think like we have the superhero fatigue argument every couple months regardless, and how part of how you beat that fatigue is you like take these risks, you make projects that like on paper shouldn't work, but there are ways to make them work. And I think like getting the American Vandal guys who are very good at mockumentary stuff and getting this cast of people, I spend several minutes of my video just speculating about Tim Baltz, who, if you don't remember him, he's on the Righteous Gemstones. He plays like the brother-in-law that's getting married into the family. He is one of the funniest people I have ever seen in my life, and like I could see a world where he is a more significant character than we might be letting on in the show. And I will just leave it at that and drive you guys to go see my video. But I think there's a lot of potential with this show. I just think like it's kind of a Trojan horse situation in a way that's really cool.
All right.
Big year for Trojan horses.
It won't take 10 years to get there either. So yeah, look, I kind of mentioned it. Lanterns, 9.3 million views first 3 days. It's really good. Top 5 HBO premiere. Best DC series ever premiere. And with that, I think it's time to talk about Lanterns episode 2 with some spoilers. Fantastic episode. I rewatched it last night. I think it's great. This time I came a little bit more prepared than last week because I actually rewatched the episode and saw where it ended. And I'll say it ended at a very interesting place. So let's go around reactions. Aaron, you want to start us off? What'd you think of Lanterns episode 2?
It's not super different from the first episode, but like way more leaning into like the stuff I think about when I think about Green Lanterns. Like it's like finally the promise of the show is here because you say the word mogul out loud. Like we can get to some of the weirder stuff that happens. Like it's what drew me to like Jeff Johns' run when I was younger. Like the complete and utter insanity of the lore of this character is dumb, and it's amazing to see it. And it proves too, and I will say this, I don't like comparing, of the people on this panel, I am the person who does not compare these things to Marvel all the time. But you've got a Bucky and Sam level of dichotomy between Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Like a really fun, when they're apart from each other, the show still feels like it's maintaining the forward progression in ways I was concerned during the pilot. I'm like, is this going to feel the same if Kyle Chandler's not out there just needling him and just busting his chops? It does. It holds up. So I am excited. The last, whatever, like, what was that, 5 minutes or whatever, is some of the craziest things that I was like, this is elephant in Adrian Veidt's closet level silliness. And we're on episode 2, so I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time.
Say something a little controversial, maybe. I get more of a Tony Stark, Steve Rogers vibe from these two.
Ooh,
because Hal's like such a dick like Tony is, and Jon Stewart is such a straight shooter like Steve is. Now, they're obviously, look, I'm not saying they're the same characters. I think both references are fair. I'm just being the devil's advocate today. Jenna, what do you think?
Just big devil's advocate day. See, I don't even think about their relationship in like the MCU kind of parallels at all, because to me it's just like such a fun.
It's all Aaron's fault. Aaron,
I know, and like, but I will say, to Aaron's point, I think this episode is such a testament to like you can still reveal so much about either of them when one of them isn't even on screen. Like John going through Hal's empty mansion, which is just decorated like he's a college age boy who just moved in with his camping chair and his one TV, which I love that character detail of like him going through the mansion and learning so much about Hal, and then kind of like having that refract on how he feels about being Green Lantern, and like, wow, this guy that I'm like, in line to become this superhero with is such a mess and so lonely and has all of this stuff going on. I think this is a really, really strong episode. And to Aaron's point, this is the lore episode. My video for this ended up being 30 minutes long because it's like this tangent and that tangent. Like there were so many directions to go down and so much lore to unpack. And it is so much fun that the show is delivering it this way.
I agree. I think this episode's great. I think it's even an improvement from an already great premiere. Hal and John, their relationship is the biggest driver, but the mystery unfolding is very interesting as well. A little Gotham reference was exciting. That was cool. Sinestro appearance at the end, very nice touch there. I'm pretty sure we all knew he was coming.
Yes.
We knew he was in this show if you've been paying attention. I just think this show's great. I'm dancing because I've seen almost the entire show, so I am so careful to not say anything spoilery. I think John making a bird instead of flying was very alarming to Hal because and also just the way Hal covers any concern with snark is great. He's like, well, you didn't fly, did you, Junior? And I just think it's great. Kyle Chandler is phenomenal in this part. It's really good. This episode's great.
I will also say, too, the conversation we were just having about Jimmy and how you were like, well, people know Green Lantern, and that's why they showed up for Lanterns. I think part of it's also Green Lantern culturally had 15 years of hell. Like, as a Green Lantern fan, I feel like I've finally seen the sunlight for the first time since the Ryan Reynolds movie came out. And, like, I think that Kyle Chandler is such a huge reason of why that is the case. Like, he has delivered a generational performance. Like, it is honestly crazy. Every single line that he says and the way that he says it is like, that is exactly how I already read Hal Jordan in the comics. And, like, that is beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah, he's fantastic in this part.
Aaron is just grinning.
It's just one of those things. It's like, what?
I was like, he shot me.
Yeah. Around our house, just we've been quoting the, like, you talking about me? Like, every line. There is not a line that he says that is not just brilliantly delivered. And, like, when he's in the town hall and then calls her honey, or, like, responds to her calling him honey, like, everything about it is just perfect.
John Stewart needs to drop or maybe Hal. Somebody, never mind. It was going to be a Marvel joke. It was going to be a Bort joke, but I'm not going to do it.
I will. Can I talk about the Gotham connection a little bit? Because I do talk about this in my video, but like people kind of took her last name, which was revealed in episode 1, and like ran with it in a really weird way, because her last name is Kane. And so everyone, even before Gotham was mentioned in episode 2, people were like, oh my God, she's part of the Kane family, which like is technically part of Bruce Wayne's family. It is Batwoman. It's like so many other characters. It's a reference to Gil Kane, who was the original artist on the Hal Jordan comics. Like it's not really anything more than that. Even then, people thought it was a reference to Bob Kane, who co-created Batman and had nothing to do with Hal Jordan, and is very notoriously someone who got credit for things that he shouldn't have gotten credit for. But so it's a reference to Gil Kane, who was Hal's co-creator. But still having her be from Gotham is a very interesting kind of wrinkle in that, because there's not a 0% chance that she's still part of that extended family in some sort of way, which is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to get drips and drabs. Like, that's the other thing about these projects now, where I'm like, you really got to pay attention. Stuff's going to come in from weird angles, like just strange. Because I didn't think forever, like, you were going to hear the first mention of the Gotham in this universe come from a Green Lantern show. It
was referenced in Peacemaker. I will say that.
True.
Yeah.
But
what music are you playing, B? You are going to get the copyright strike on this episode. We're going to be in so much trouble. I couldn't even tell what that was. But still.
Aaron got it. We're not monetized. There is no such thing as a copyright strike. Channel's not big enough. We can't get copyright stricken because we ain't monetized yet. Sing that type of smoke at YouTube. Make us a partner on Phase Hero.
That is true.
You know, wait, Aaron, you don't know this song? Hold on. Maybe it's not playing. It doesn't sound good through this. It was in reference to the conversation. Come on, here it comes. I know you know the song, Aaron. Nobody, is it just not coming through right?
I do. I can hear it.
It's Kane's entrance song in WWE. By God, it's Kane.
By God.
Kane's here from Gotham.
This is what happens when Jamie's not here.
True.
Look, see? Somebody got it. By God, another person got it. By God, it's Kane. That was me pointing at the screen. Whoosh, and the fire goes up. That's it.
Oh.
That's it.
I love this audience.
And I was afraid of Kane as a kid, by the way. Terrified of Kane as a kid.
Understandable.
My mom used to say, Brandon, if you don't behave, I'm going to invite Kane to your birthday party. She did not mean one of the artists on Hal Jordan or one of the or the family of Bruce Wayne. She meant the WWE Kane. He tore his Triple H in half. He has a family. Oh God, fear and beer pot. Anyway,
looking up photos of this man, I can understand why you were terrified.
I was scared. And to this day, like Latin Geek says, I legit thought Kane was Undertaker's twin. Big shout out to good old JR, Judon Foster. Oh God, JR. I to this day am not convinced that Undertaker and Kane are not actually brothers. Anyway, back to lanterns.
Was there anything else we wanted to talk about now that you completely got that off the rails?
Oh,
we saw the ring get charged.
Yes.
And it had like its own Siri voice.
Yeah. I love how he says it. Like a lot of people have compared it to like a little kid saying grace at Thanksgiving because they were in a hurry to eat their food. But like, I love how he says it like it's a prayer that he has said like 100 times. Like there are so many instances in the comics, as much as it's like this big grandiose thing where it's just like, all right, he's going to go off in a room and very quietly say it so no one else can hear him at Ferris Air saying it. And like, I liked that we got that here for the first time the oath is said in the show.
Let me ask you this. When he says the oath, that's part of charging it.
Yes.
I took it in the way they delivered it.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like when you're brushing your teeth as a kid and they're like, say the alphabet. Yes. And that's how long you have to brush your teeth for.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. He was like, if I just say this fucking oath for this long, if that means
yep.
That's the time of how long it takes. But like, that's how it played to me.
That is fair. Like, it is the entirety of how you charge it. Like, you have to say the oath in order to do it. But like, he could say it this big, long, slow thing, but he's said it hundreds of times over his life, clearly. Like, there is no reason for him to have to, put on the pomp and circumstance right now. But that just means that inevitably when we hear him say it in like some big battle thing or like John say it, I feel like that'll be the big epic moment that like people know. But I did love that it was so rushed in the context of this episode.
In episode 1, he caught an alien being an alien. A, by not being racist or terrible about Barack Obama being president, despite them being from Nebraska, but B, by him not knowing that Harry Potter went to Hogwarts. Did you see on the wall in Hal Jordan's house, they photoshopped Kyle Chandler into a photo with Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and who's the kid who plays Ron Weasley?
Rupert Grint.
Rupert Grint. Oh my God. I thought that was like, it's like it never comes into focus. Like the camera's moving.
It's just there for long enough, and it's next to a photo of him with the Pope, which is also very funny.
First of all, the Chuck's but the bed. I thought I forget who. I think that was Damon Lindelof's idea. I asked Chris Monday whose idea it was, but I don't remember what he said. But I thought that was just such a random, weird, little funny thing to do, and it's like one of those that I think Warner Brothers owns both properties, so they can. But hey, we got Daniel Radcliffe in the DC universe.
I saw one person be like, now this means he can't get cast as a role. It's like, we've had enough famous people remember the scene in Peacemaker season 1 where he rattles off like 100 famous people names. Like, it does not matter in this universe. People can just look like each other. It'll be fine if and when we were to get to that point.
Yeah. Oh, that made me laugh out loud though, just because not even because Hal Jordan is a Harry Potter fan.
Mm-hmm.
That made me laugh out loud because someone thought to put that in. Like I was just like, what a random detail of all the things you could put in. And Hal, like I feel like that Hal, this dude's, what is he interested in? He's such a dick. He's so busy being a dick. This guy's like Harry Potter. What else does he like? I think maybe he's a Marvel fan. Maybe he's a DC fan. Maybe he's like, what other, does he like the Hunger Games? I feel like if you like the Harry Potter movies, you also watched Hunger Games at the same time. I want to know what Hal's interested in. I'd be this guy's friend, I think. I think I'd be friends with Hal Jordan. I think he'd drive me nuts. We have similar personality traits because we both don't shut up sometimes. Sometimes we overtalk and say a little too much. And at the same time, I think we'd be friends. I think I'd be a little jealous that he's got that ring, though. I'd want to use the ring.
I feel like beer drinking alone is one of his biggest hobbies. Like, I feel like that answers your question. Like, honestly, getting drunk. But like, that is a huge kind of crux of being a Green Lantern, is that like, if you're not on Earth for long stretches of time, your knowledge of pop culture is kind of like ebbs and flows. Like Hal can spend years off in space and have no frame of reference for how things are on Earth. And like, I feel like we're starting to really get that over the course of these 2 episodes and see like how that has kind of warped his brain mentally in a really interesting way.
So let's talk about the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Hal goes to see Sinestro. And Sinestro, Manhunters are clearly a tremendous threat. Jon Stewart had the memory of getting wrecked by Manhunters imprinted into his brain, and we watched it fuck that man up, and Jon Stewart is not easily rattled. So, Manhunters, big threat. Sinestro says, Jon Stewart's a bigger threat. Is essentially, he didn't say it word for word, but that's how the conversation was structured for the takeaway. Hal's like, yo, tell me about Manhunters. Sinestro's like, hold on, you got a bigger threat. Tell me about Jon Stewart. Obviously, that just means Sinestro is threatened by Jon Stewart, in my opinion.
I think if anything, he can see how Hal should be threatened more than Hal really wants to admit to himself.
Yes.
Like, as we were saying earlier in the episode, like when John makes the bird construct and is able to keep it alive while the ring is across the country, that is kind of uncharted territory for a lot of lanterns. Like most lanterns, the second you take the ring off or the second you just like stop thinking about it and think about anything else, the construct completely goes away. So like the fact that he kept the bird alive the entire time, Hal does not want to admit that that is a very powerful thing that he did. And Hal doesn't want to actually like accept the fact that John is kind of encroaching and is at the point of like probably replacing him in the mantle. But I think Sinestro can clearly see through it. And he's like, you need to recognize that this is where you're headed, even if you don't want to admit it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because they have like such a weird comic history too. Like there's like you have to like before he's like the big bad. They're like, oh yes, this is like his arch enemy or whatever. He obviously trained Hal, like the whole shot with everything else that goes on. They were really like friends. That's why it hurts so much when Sinestro goes bad because dang, that's my dog. But you clearly can't trust him. He has literally the Silence of the Lambs entrance, the Magneto entrance.
Yes.
For some of you who might be a little younger, and I'm like, yeah, you can't. He would love nothing more than to drive a wedge between you two at some point. So you got to really keep an eye on that guy. You can't really trust him completely. Also, you've only seen him on screen for like 5 seconds, but I'm like, I cannot wait for whatever they show us because we've already established we're going to jump around the timeline. I'm like, he's going to have a thing where it's him and Sinestro while Sinestro is still a Green Lantern, like for sure. And that's going to be nuts. If he calls Hal Jr., I'll faint.
Mm-hmm. Their dynamic is so rich and is so fascinating. And even like you said, like the being a mentor thing was kind of added in the 80s. Like before then he was just pink space Hitler. And it was like, oh, I got to go deal with him this week. And like, that was already enough of a dynamic between the two of them that was really, really interesting. And then like over time, it has gotten so much deeper of like, we were friends. And like, there's a really beautiful sequence from the 2000s where he says like, that's the tragedy of all of this is like, we are still friends, even as we've been in all of these different battles across the galaxy and we are mortal enemies. And like you feel that here so quickly. And like even before then when he wakes up in the hospital and Carrie's like, you said his name in your sleep, like that is an insane bit of like way to establish their dynamic. And I've seen people be like, oh, it might mean that he's parallax, it might mean this or it might mean that, but it like just already shows you how dark and how like just emotionally resonant their relationship is before he even showed up on screen.
We're gonna 10 score this thing.
Sure.
All
right, got the calculator. Here we go. Oh, I don't know what I've got 13,200 of, but I'll go first. This one's a clean 9 for me. It's phenomenal. I still know there's better episodes coming. I've cheated a little bit and watched the next few weeks. Next week, I think is next week's Big Ten episode. I think so. It's a little preview spoiler on that one, but I'm at a 9.
Aaron,
I think that I'm probably at about a 9 too, because you keep saying, like, you guys keep hitting like that there's other stuff going on. So I'm afraid to go much higher because there will be nowhere for me to go, right? But I think I gave last week's 8.8, so this is absolutely a step up to a 9 for sure.
I think I gave last week's a 9.6, and I do like this episode even more than that. So I'm going to say a 9.7. Like you said, I still need to have a ceiling for stuff to grow, but this is a pretty perfect episode and like proof of concept of the show.
I accidentally cleared the calculator, but it was a 9.2 average
for
the Face Hero.
Pretty good.
So that's pretty high. I would say this Lantern show, it's pretty good. I think this show is actually pretty good, guys. You see that guy? You guys see the guy on Instagram who does the like, what if we make the show magnificent, yes? And he like does that thing. I feel like he cooked this show. He's like, what if we made Lanterns and it was just exquisite? What if Hal Jordan was a generational casting? What, like it's just that, yeah. That's what they did with this one. Lanterns is fucking cooking. So thank you guys so much for hanging out today. If you want to drop your 10 scores, we got 9s, we got 9.1s, we got a pretty good from Funko Pop Orchards. We got a 9, we got a 10, we got an 8.5, maybe 9 from across the pond. 9, 8, 9.2, 8.8, 9. So we have people with good taste in the comments is what I'm taking away from that. The Face Hero community remains undefeated. Aaron, any last words for today's show?
Oh goodness, it's at How to Watch Free TV. I have an interview with Cricket Green from Big City Greens going up, and I actually got to interview a puppet, and that is something I never thought I would get to do, and that's going to be a ton of fun. That's up on that Hollywood Shows channel, so you can go check me out doing that. Also, Jamie Jirak is sad that she's not here. Love the Time of Hydra starts up a new season. We're finally getting Ghost Rider over there in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she wants you guys to come on that journey. So don't forget over there. Go follow them.
I need someone to make a GIF of Brandon dancing the entire time this has been happening. This is great. It's at Hey It's Jenna Lynn on social media. As always, go read some comics and go subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is at Go Read Some Comics. As I mentioned, I have a video about the Jimmy Olsen casting and the announcement of the show. I have a really fun theory about who Tim Baltz could be playing, so please at least go watch it to hear that theory. And I have 30 minutes of discussion on Lanterns if our chat was not enough. I break down every Easter egg. I know Aaron mentioned Mogo. If you want to learn way more about Mogo the Living Planet than you ever wanted to know, go watch my video. I am very proud of how that turned out.
I might have hit the Dougie. I might have hit the Rush Hour 2. I might have hit the John Wall. You never know what's going on when you set me free out here. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out today. Thank you, Aaron, Jenna. Thank you to the comment section for being amazing every time on here on Face Hero. This channel continues growing. We will make partner. We will take it to the moon, and it'll be all fun stuff. Thank you, guys. We'll be back next week with more Lanterns discussion, more Marvel, DC, everything in between. And I do think this channel is going to start getting more and more like programming. I know Jamie is getting very, very involved with a lot of the stuff we're doing. Aaron's getting very involved. Jenna and I are doing our best to stay as involved as we can with some of this stuff. But I want to give Jamie specifically a shout because she's been doing incredible work on the Instagram page for Face Hero. And she's been making some really great posts, very timely posts when news comes out. And I want to give her a big shout out for that. She's been doing a great job. And so, yeah, the Face Hero stuff is it's kind of in a new iteration. And I think it's in a better iteration now. So I think it's really cool to see this thing going and growing. And thank you to every single person who rocks with us, video, audio, wherever you find us. And even if you follow us individually or as a whole here only on the show. Thank you for being here. My main character on the Brandon Davis show this week looks like it's going to be Grace Caroline Curry, who was Mary in Shazam. That's set to release Wednesday. Guess what? We haven't even set a time to record yet. It might also be Greg Alba from Real Rejects. So it's going to be, there's things happening. I am trying so desperately to recreate the magic of Peacemaker and even Daredevil Born Again with as many consecutive interviews with people from Lanterns as I can. But it's just been really hard. I have had zero luck so far locking down any podcast guests, but not for lack of trying. So hopefully we're able to get some of that going. We got 6 more weeks of Lanterns. So hopefully we'll get, maybe 4 weeks of interviews. So Grace and Greg are both awesome people. I'm very excited to have them as main characters on the show. And see you over there. And we'll see you Monday for more Face Hero. Play our show for your dad. Play it for your cat. And we'll see you in the next one.